Hello, Key Biscayne. It is Monday, November 19th, 2018, and this is your No One's Listening show, episode 132. I am your host, Rafa. I'm here sweating with the panel. To my right, she's got that Caribbean fever.
Aww.
Is Lenny. She's
hey,
back.
Hey, guys. Hey, I'm happy to be home, but it was a great trip. Miss you guys.
To her right, what do I have here? If he seems a little worried, don't worry about it. It's just because Otazo is coming back to town. It's Manny.
Lenny, I feel like I was in Cuba with you. My whole Facebook feed is just pictures of Cuba for a week.
Yeah, because I got back. There was no Wi-Fi in Cuba, and so I came back and just bombarded everybody. But they were great. Did you like the pictures?
I haven't even looked through them yet.
Oh,
they
my
were
God.
so overwhelming.
Your loss are nice.
I'm going to check them out. And Rafa, thank you for giving me the opportunity to invite our guest today. This is, we talk about being weirdos who pick up trash. Well, today we're in royalty. I mean, this is the king and queen of weirdos out here in South Florida for sure. Maybe in the whole region. Dave Dobler and Dara Schoenwald, thank you so much for joining. Dave and Dara from volunteer.org, volunteercleanup.org. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Welcome.
We're excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
All right. Well, let's start how we always start. It's called Weekend Talk. Did anybody do anything cool this weekend? I kind of did.
Well, Dara, it was your birthday, right?
It was my birthday, yes. And we had a weekend full of festivities. When your birthday's on a Sunday, you celebrate all weekend long. And the highlight for me was seeing the Preservation Hall All-Stars Band at the JCC, of all places, the Posnack Jewish Community Center in Davie. Where
awesome.
a friend of ours is in charge of all the cultural programming. So she brought the All-Star Band.
Love it.
We had a dance party, a second line.
What is this band?
It's sort of an institution of New Orleans jazz. And so they have the Preservation Hall is like a very tiny venue that they play. And this is the Preservation Hall All-Stars Band. So they've got a jazz band and they do all kinds of fun stuff during Jazz Fest. But they're fairly famous in the New Orleans music scene. And we were...
Did they sing you happy birthday?
They did not, but they did a second line, and we all got to get up and dance around the theater and up on stage and all around. And then our friends hosted an after party as well.
Love it. I love them. I see them in New Orleans all the time when I go for Jazz Fest.
We raged till about 1 a.m.,
Nice.
which is very late for us, if you know us, because we're old.
Yeah. Dave rages between the hours of 8 and midnight, and then he turns into a pumpkin.
Oh,
It was a long drive home. Davie is far.
it is.
You ever driven out to West Davie?
Do you drive there or you ride a horse there?
There's a West Davie?
It's in West Davie. Yeah.
I thought Davie is west by definition.
It goes east and west, but it was far. It was far.
It's the country.
And then on my thing, we went on Sunday. We continued Dara's birthday weekend. Some friends of ours who actually they run Debris Free Oceans. Katie and Jeremy. Jeremy just got a boat and he was super excited. And we took the boat out and got to cruise around. We actually cruised around Key Biscayne here a bit, and so that was a wonderful way to spend.
And Sunday was beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
That
it was
was
a beautiful day.
Our first visit to No Name Harbor and the Boaters Grill.
Yeah.
Is that
Nice.
what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the first time.
Yeah, so Debris Free Oceans, their name came up again, will come up again right now. My weekend was spent on, what night did we do we did a cleanup in Wynwood with Debris Free Oceans.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night. So Saturday afternoon, it was a pub crawl, super fun. Nancy, Rhonda, and I went, and we had our buckets and our pickers and our gloves, and we showed up at the Wynwood Brewing Company, and there were probably 60 people there for $20. You get a reusable cup and drink tickets for 3 bars, and they let you go, and you go out there and you go from spot to spot just picking up trash. And that's a whole different level of trash picking.
I was going to say, what did you find out there?
Well, you don't have to, you can just stand in one spot, and within 20 feet, you can spend an hour.
It's a neighborhood cleanup.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a neighborhood cleanup. But what I tried to do was I tried to focus on the drains, like the drain areas, and everything, sort of the lines leading down the drain. So all that trash makes it into the ocean.
I have a
in many
question.
cases.
Did you find anything interesting or really weird that you picked up that's like...
Yeah. One thing that I found was very interesting was I picked up probably, maybe 50 to 100 tall boy cans, like the big tall, like this one right here. And every single one of them was bone dry, man. It was like, sometimes when you pick up with a picker, you try to empty it. and they were all bone dry, and there was a
Wow.
single one. So that was really, thank you very much for all you
But
drinkers out there.
what you said there was important. I just wanted to highlight that the trash on the street that you're getting before it gets into the storm drains, that is actually the source of 80% of most of the trash that is in the ocean
Oh, wow.
originates as street-based litter just like that.
Really?
So some people want to go out and do a beach cleanup because that's the idea
Right.
they have in their mind, but actually the root of that, of the source of it, is trash in the street. All those storm drains lead out to the canals and to the bays, and which ultimately lead to the ocean.
And
The storm drains here in Key Biscayne, have you ever noticed, Lenny?
what?
They say
Oh yeah,
this drain leads to the bay with
Yeah.
with a picture of a fish.
yeah.
Why doesn't every storm drain have that?
Do they
In
all?
Miami.
Probably because nobody's going to read it.
I read them.
I read them. I noticed it, but in fact, I didn't actually connect storm drains leading out to the bay until maybe about 5 years ago, until I got started in this whole project. So most people don't really
Realize that that's what
understand
happens.
that the storm drains at the street level all evacuate out to some moving body of water, and all waterways lead to the ocean. So this is why the neighborhood cleanup that DFO is doing, Debris Free Oceans was doing, is so cool. Because Wynwood, if you look down, I'm amazed that place is just, it has so much trash around.
Yeah, it does.
And
Are there garbage cans around?
Yes, there
Some.
are. There are.
Enough?
never enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's never
Well,
enough.
that's one thing in Havana, Cuba. There's no garbage cans anywhere. There's trash everywhere. It's crazy. I'm not kidding. It's you
But-
guys. it's
But if
crazy.
you a friend of mine just got back from Japan, and they were in Tokyo,
Oh.
and not a single garbage can to be found, because society, their society tells them that you make trash, you take it home
You
with
take
you.
it home with you.
So there's no garbage cans, but there's also no litter.
There you go. There's something to learn from that.
So I should stop dumping my motor oil down the drain.
Probably.
In fact,
nice.
I remember doing that with not me, but I remember I was like 10, and we were changing the oil. I think my dad was teaching my sister how to change the oil in the car.
Right.
And he pops open the manhole covers, roaches, pour out of it,
Wow.
and he poured the oil down. People like back in and this
just
was
don't
only
know.
the 80s, right? And I don't think people necessarily really connected the two.
Right.
And that's a lot of what we're really trying to do, is educate people about some of these very basic things. And
Well, I thought to myself, if the storm drain says this leads to the bay, and somebody's walking and they're going to throw their cigarette in there or throw whatever, a plastic cup in there, they may think twice about it. I mean,
If
one
the-
person may think twice about it.
There's also a dolphin on it.
Yeah.
There is.
So it's a little icon of a dolphin, so that you think to yourself,
We gave a
"I'm gonna kill a
presentation-
dolphin right now."
yeah, we gave a presentation at a low income school, and one of the girls was like, "Wait, that goes to the ocean?"
Right.
We thought that was a garbage can. Like, they literally
Right.
go out of their way to put it in the storm drains.
Right.
So
It's all about education and and teaching them how to treat this earth and how things work. And in Cuba, that's what we need to do too. I'm telling you, I taught a little girl threw a thing on the thing. I'm like, where do you think that piece of garbage is going? And so she picked it up, and I helped her and showed her. I'm like, it starts with you. Now you tell all your friends.
So do you have a Cuba story for us, or
No.
or this weekend story?
There's my story.
Yeah.
This weekend I did nothing. I was exhausted. I wanted to go with Manny. I said yes to it, and then I just couldn't do it. I was
Dude,
exhausted.
She's 50 now.
Stop it.
Sounds like you posted photos on Facebook all week.
I did. I rested, and I went to dinner with my husband's client one night. That's another story for another day. But yeah, it really didn't do much. It was a mellow weekend.
All right.
Yeah.
How about you, Rafa?
I went to friend of the show, Gannon Gangbang's birthday on Saturday. He turned 33. Well, he turns 33 tomorrow, so if you see him, mention it to him. But his birthday party was on Saturday, and he hosted at his house in the Grove. Really good time. Gannon has set up this situation where he talked to he found like the title owner for the house next door, which is just an empty lot, and he called them up and he said, "Hey, can I, if I smooth out
your
this
yard.
yeah, if I beautify your yard, can I use it?" And they were like, "What property are you even talking about?" And he was like, "Okay, well, that's a go." So, but then you go over there, and he he built his fence so that there's a sliding. It slides open into the next yard, like big,
cool.
like a carport kind of thing. And he put what's this stuff? The little rocks, whatever, all gravel everywhere. He made this like little pit, a fire pit. He redid the whole thing for croquet, so he smoothed it out as much as he could and everything. It looks amazing. He's got all the lights strung up and everything, so it was a great time at that birthday party. And then me and Griff, who is mysteriously not here today, we had a hankering for a little more, so we went to the bar, and I sung karaoke really, really poorly at like 2 a.m., like really bad. The whole bar was looking at me like, this guy sucks. And I was like, yes.
Is Griff still hungover, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. He might be hurting.
I think he's perpetually hungover. And then after that, we were driving down, we go to Versailles, and, well, we were cruising by, we saw it, and we're like, oh, we got to stop here. It's still open, and it's packed. So we stop. I had the best Cuban sandwich. And for the first time in my Miami life, I saw a Rolls Royce that had a chauffeur. Have you guys ever seen a new Rolls Royce with somebody that doesn't actually drive it themselves?
No.
I think they call that Uber.
Yeah.
Well, the guy, I even asked the guy, I was like, do you just do the chauffeur? Or do you like work as a handyman? He's like, no, I do the whole house, like everything. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, he's the watchy man.
The guy was like, who are these kooks? You know, like he's all in his little tux or whatever, his little chauffeur outfit.
Did he have a little hat?
I'm there looking ragged, eating a Cuban sandwich out of the back of the truck.
What time of day was this?
2:30 in the morning.
You guys should have hopped in with the hurdy-gurdy monkey and the rolls and taken a ride around town.
There's an interesting crowd there at that time. It's a curious thing that people are out there so late. Anyway, that was my weekend.
Sounds like fun.
Yep. Oh, man, I forgot the melodica, so I don't have a way to transition to the next one without anything but a whistle, so here we go. It's weekend talk. I mean, it's music talk. What are you listening to? Who wants to go first?
I'll start. One of my favorite country and western bands just announced they're coming here on April 20th. I'm going to go with from the album Get Your Yayas Out, live version of Sympathy for the Devil.
Ooh,
Rolling
nice.
Stones.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wait,
Check
so
that one
what
out.
was I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
April 20th, the Stones are coming
Stones.
to Hard Rock Stadium.
420,
bro. 420. What was that?
420, man.
Yeah, 420, man, exactly.
That's so funny. Even my daughter knows what 420 is. She's
I
18.
knows the best.
She's 18 though.
Yeah.
It's all right. Am I next?
Sure.
Okay, Gary Clark Jr.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
He's coming, right?
He's coming to
the
town.
Fillmore. I already got my tickets. Gonna go. I'm super excited. I like all his songs, but When My Train Pulls In is one of my favorites. So that's my song of the week.
Very cool. You want me to go first?
Go, Dara.
Sure. So I've been listening a bit to St. Paul and the Broken Bones, who are also coming into town. A friend had kind of put them in my ear, so I remembered the name, and I got a new car recently, so I was setting up all the auto stations and my favorites, and I keep on listening to Spectrum, and as I was listening to Spectrum, they're playing this band all the time, and I was like, wow, these guys are pretty cool. I heard they're coming to town, so they'll be at the Culture Room December 7th.
Awesome. Okay,
And
good.
I'm
Good to
enjoying
know.
what I hear so far.
What kind
Don't know much about them.
What
All
kind
right,
of music
I'm gonna
is
have to
it?
check it out.
I mean, I wouldn't really. They're probably somewhere in between, like a rock band and a jam band. They're not really a jam band, but they're a rock band.
Okay,
Yeah, I would say.
cool.
So I'm a huge Phish fan, and they just had their Halloween show out in Vegas, and they're infamous for their fun Halloween sets. They put on
Right.
a gag, and they pretended like they are a Scandinavian band
Oh, funny.
called Kassav Voxed.
Oh my gosh.
And they played an entire album of brand new music that they made.
Oh my gosh.
The album is called I Rock, R-O-K-K. You can find it on Spotify. And I've been playing the song constantly. There's a lot of great songs on it, but Cool, Amber, and Mercury, I'm really hoping that they bring that like mainstream into their shows.
I love it. I'm going to
It's a
check
lot
it
of
out
fun.
too.
They have an album of new music?
Yeah. So what they do every Halloween is what they call the musical costume. And so they have one set which is supposed to be a cover set of an entire album. So they've done everything from Talking Heads to Little Feat. They'll just pick a band and they'll play the entire album. And the past couple years, they've done like some more experimental avant-garde things. So this time they pretended they were this Norwegian band. And they had like all the artwork. They even like pre-did like fake articles about the band and artwork with like the album covers in advance. And then they wore as their musical costume this album, which was actually their own new music. And so,
I love Phish.
Cool.
Is there like a Phish Grateful Dead fan thing, kind of like Star Trek and Star Wars?
You mean like
not?
a rivalry?
Yeah, like a.
No.
I mean, they're different generations.
It's almost
but-
crossover.
Yeah, there's crossover.
But there's also like the diehards that.
yeah.
I think people either get one band or the other. Like, I'm a huge Phish fan, and I've only been recently like enjoying the Dead.
Oh, that's interesting.
But like Phish heads will definitely get upset when you describe the band and then people go, oh, like the Grateful Dead.
No, it's totally different.
You're like, no. Well, kind of, but not. But
Yeah.
a little different.
Yeah.
it's a little crazier.
Yeah,
Cool.
or the Dead fans might be like, "That's just silly music." It's like
That's what I like about
nonsense music.
It's fun.
The lyrics are like "skilly doo be boom." It's
Great.
The Dead is better on acid.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Fish is better on
Fish is
Molly
better
or
on
something.
mushrooms, I guess. I don't know.
It has more of a sense of humor, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And it crosses more genres, right? They'll do everything from like a little Latin, some reggae, blues, funk, rock. And I think Grateful Dead is a little bit more blues, folk.
Right.
Boring, huh?
Folk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just kidding.
come on. The young, he says the young kid.
Mandy's getting his gloves on.
No, I love the Dead.
Those are fighting words.
Okay, I've been listening to. I just discovered this album this past week. It came out like 2 weeks ago, and it's a singer-songwriter. His name's Steven Steinbrink, and he kind of sounds like Mac DeMarco. If you guys have heard that,
Right.
kind of like a one guitar, but then a little bit of like a synth to go around, like an organy type synth. And the song's called "You Could Always Leave." I suggest you check it out when I post it, but I doubt you will. But you should anyway. It's
I always listen to all
easy
your songs.
Listen. It's an easy listen. This one.
Love it. I always listen to all your songs because I never know what you're talking about. Ever.
Well, thank you. At least one fan here.
Well, you should actually post your song as an event, and Lenny will say she's going,
Right.
and then other people.
And I
will
might
go,
or might not show up.
I might be
We'll see how I
interested,
feel. We'll see how I feel.
So
Awesome.
because you said synth, I have to repeat this bumper sticker that we saw in Asheville recently, and it said, Robert Moog died for your synths.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
great.
Moog's the best synth. I want to say that I do listen. I listen to everybody's song every week fully. I know I make a little playlist and I just hear them. I'm like, oh,
Good.
Okay, let's go move to the talk of the town. News you can snooze to. We'll start with some light fare. Mike Davey has outlined, this is the mayor-elect, has outlined his key
No,
priorities.
it's the mayor. It's the mayor.
Oh,
He's-
yeah, he's by now he's the mayor,
He was
yes.
not sworn in. He was sworn in on Thursday,
That's right.
or installed rather. Installed.
It's
Yes.
official.
So congrats, Mike.
Congratulations,
Congrats,
Mike.
Mike.
Now it's time for a little ribbing. Key priorities, according to the Islander, one of the ones. Iguana birth control and gender change. Did you see this?
No, I did
Yes,
not.
I did.
I missed that one. Wow.
So, apparently iguanas, I mean, everybody knows this. Iguanas have been a problem on the key because they poop in everybody's pools and they take human-sized dumps. These things are
They do.
they're disgusting. So I don't know how this came out in the Islander. Maybe they just have to fill paragraphs or something. They're like, "Can you comment on iguanas?" Which wasn't a topic during the election at all.
Did they
And
say-
he did, and he said iguana birth control. Maybe we could try something like that. And then he said, because certain reptiles, they change their gender depending on the temperature. You know,
What?
of the eggs and stuff like that, then
Yeah.
maybe we could do some kind of thing. And I thought it was so funny that I had to mention it.
Did the Islanders say, in their true form of translating, they're like the Rosetta Stone of newspapers. They'll say, the iguana came and took una tremenda mierda, a huge shit, in the pool.
And then my dog ate it because that's the other thing. The dogs get sick. They eat that stuff. It's really
Oh
bad.
man,
The
It's
iguanas
true.
or the poop?
The poop.
The poop.
No, and the iguanas too. When
And
the
the iguanas-
iguanas
and
they
they get
freeze,
sick.
they fall out of the trees. The dog eats them, and it's game over.
Really?
Yeah.
And
I
they
didn't know they were poisonous.
they're poisonous unless
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like a I mean,
I
I
they
know
were a
that
delicacy.
they're a delicacy in Central America, so I guess they're.
Yeah, but
There was
not-
actually an article about a woman here in Miami that would catch them and cook them up,
Oh wow.
and she said they were pretty good.
Well,
And
they're
they
no
eat
good.
your gardens, right? Not only they poop, but they
Yeah.
tear up everything
Yeah.
you plant.
They love bougainvilleas.
We,
I'm not sure what his action plan
Dara,
is.
do you have some
but-
experience with iguanas?
Well, we've been practicing our own iguana birth control on our terrace because we have a very cute female that visits us every day and hangs out. And then lately we noticed there's
Wait a
like
second. How do you know she's a female?
by the color and the shape, and because
Oh.
of the male who now is stalking her. And then Dave got very worried because this is the problem. They just like procreate like crazy. And so every time the male comes, he makes me go and like scare off the male so he doesn't impregnate the female. And then we don't have like hundreds of iguanas on our terrace because the one is okay. Like
Right.
she's cool.
Yeah,
she
that's
hangs
cool.
out. She's pretty.
Right. There you go.
We have a name
Dave.
for her.
Dave's
call-
going to be our iguana control.
Yeah.
Well, not on this island.
We call her Juana the iguana.
Juana the iguana.
Just like get a pellet gun or something. Just a pellet gun. And
You know, I have this thing. I don't want to like really hurt it, but I
No,
I don't
of
want it to
course.
procreate.
I know.
Right. So I would be interested in having her spayed or neutered.
Right.
Right.
What
Shoot
does
him
that
in the
mean?
nuts.
Like iguana birth control? How do you practice that on a large scale? What does that look like?
I mean,
Very small condoms.
Oh, that's great.
something like
Mike
that.
just chimed in that the iguanas were actually a big issue for folks. He learned about it while walking the streets of Key Biscayne before the election. So I don't doubt it. I mean, you know,
They're invasive.
Yeah, they're invasive and they're perfectly adapted to this. You know, like if you're ever driving and you see, oh look at there's a palm frond. Oh no, it's not a palm frond. It's an iguana. You know, on the ground. They look like they just fit right in.
Well, I guess little pills that you put around and they eat them. No, that wouldn't work. Every other animal would eat them. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe cages and whatever. I don't know.
That's why he's the mayor. He'll figure it out.
Well, he's working on it. He just commented that his comment on birth control was that though someone had suggested it, he doesn't know exactly how it would work because many iguanas can change gender if they're too few of one. So,
Wow.
like, how do you know who you're
How do
giving
you
the
stop-
birth control to?
Right. Wow.
And
Well,
then what bathroom do they use?
I love it.
The pool is unisex, so it's no problem there.
Doesn't matter nowadays, does it?
You know.
He did highlight a lot of serious things like trying to wrestle control for Virginia Key, pedestrian safety, but they were all boring, so I don't want to talk about them. There was one thing that he said. For pedestrian safety, he floated the idea of dummy cars, of like leaving a parked car,
Police car.
a parked police car in certain places to deter. I mean, I'm sure it would deter the people who didn't see it every day, but everybody else would get used to it.
How about if you do a scarecrow policeman? Just put him out there.
that would work even better?
That'd be great.
Yeah, right? Oh, man. I bet that would work.
Yeah, and then just say, hey, he may yeah, it's a scarecrow, but there's a camera in there.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
This is the kind of progressive
That's
stuff that we
brilliant,
need out
Kenny.
here.
Actually.
If he's listening, he should think
Brilliant.
about this. A scarecrow. I would love that. It would be so absurd. Okay. Well, you guys want to talk any more about that? If not, we can move on to
Serious stuff.
serious stuff.
What's the bats flying comment that you wrote?
I just put it every time.
Okay, that's what I noticed. I'm like, I thought we didn't talk about bats last time, so we're not going to talk about it today. Okay.
Someone asked me to put that. I think it was Billy Kimball one time. He asked me about bats on the island and if there's more bats than there used to be or not.
Oh, so it's an inside joke between you and Billy.
Well, sort of. He doesn't even know it's there because he doesn't listen live. So it only shows up on the live feed, and I'm never going to take it off now.
Do you guys have bat houses here?
No.
Not that I know of.
There used to be more bats. There's a lot of bats over at the golf course. I have a story that I've told way too many times already where a bat hit me in the chest, and I freaked out and bailed out of a golf cart like, oh, no.
Bats are trippy.
But somebody asked me if there was less bats than before, and citing some kind of environmental thing of maybe the bats leaving is a sign.
Well, so actually, bats, I think they eat little rodents, and so they're a really good rodent control. I wonder if they
Mosquitoes.
eat. Oh, mosquitoes!
Mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mosquitoes.
I want a whole.
Me
thing
too.
I want bats in my backyard.
Because during the Zika crisis, that was one of the solutions was like more bats.
And mosquitoes love me, so I love bats then.
I wonder if they eat iguanas.
No,
Oh.
I doubt it.
Because if you have like bat houses all over,
Right.
that'd
They're
be super
little.
cool.
It's got to be a
That's
really
All we
big
just
bat.
need to do is to GTS, what eats iguanas?
There you go. Get on that, Rafa.
Is that a Bill acronym? What is that?
Google that shit, man. I know that.
It sounds like one. Okay. Well, you want to take us to the next segment or to the next topic?
Sure.
Because I don't have anything
we're
else.
We're going to talk. We have our guests here today, Dave and Dara from volunteercleanup.org. And the reason that I asked them on the show was because Dave sent me a text last week and shared a memorandum of understanding that a few environmental groups have put together in order to work with Ultra for the upcoming event. So I thought it'd be nice because it's such a hot topic now that the Key Biscayne chats are ridiculous. Like there's 4 chats that are talking about Ultra. There's even the Ultra chat, So there's a lot of nervousness, a lot of questions, a lot of hysteria. And I thought it'd be great to have you guys here. So first of all, thanks for coming. And just for the record, I mean, how exactly are you connected to the Ultra event in Virginia Key?
We're not.
Okay.
Flat out. We found out about the Ultra event possibly moving when we read it. I think it was in the Miami New Times when they declined to renew their permit at Bayfront.
When was that, by the way?
We just saw it like 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay,
like this
so
has been just like steamrolled.
A few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Because we just found out about 5 minutes ago, it seems, that it was going to happen here.
Yeah, it wasn't much longer. So Commissioner Ken Russell, who I've worked with in the past, and he's come on a number of cleanups with us. He's a pretty good ally for activists because that's how he got his roots. That's how he got started.
He's actually a Key Biscayner too.
Is he?
He's a
Ken
native
Russell?
Key Biscayner. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was a Coconut Grove guy.
No,
I
he
think
was. His dad lived on the Key. His dad was the yo-yo guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, he lived
inventor
in-
of the
Yeah,
yo-yo.
the inventor of the yo-yo.
Inventor of the yo-yo.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's like one of the most interesting guys you'll ever.
Yeah.
Like if you actually
Yeah.
read like his bio and stuff like that,
Right.
you're like that dude's cool. I want to hang out with him.
Yeah, we should clarify
paddleboard.
what we mean by yo-yo guy. He's not a yo-yo. His father invented the yo-yo.
Yes. And we used to go trick-or-treating at the yo-yo house.
So
Yeah, he would give out yo-yos.
September 27th was the date it was first reported in the Miami New Times that Ultra Festival was no longer allowed to do Bayfront Park.
And at that point, was there any mention of where it may move?
I
think
so.
we heard
some.
I think some rumors and speculation that they were talking about Tropical Park and historic Virginia Key, and I think like one other place. I think somebody had mentioned that like maybe it would be good out at Big Cypress.
Phish played there once.
Yeah,
right?
Phish played there, and we've been to
Nikasuki,
shows
man.
there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we did hear like
Okay.
some rumors, but we weren't involved in this at all. And Dara and I were talking. We're like, man, one of the things that we wish that we had the opportunity to do was to work on some festival greening. Because I remember last year, we just saw we heard they had no recycling set up, and maybe like 2 years ago, right? I don't really follow Ultra, although we're huge live music fans. And so we had heard all of these things that they really had. They were selling tons of bottled water, plastic everywhere.
Right.
I went by after one of the events, and there was like all of the trash and water bottles were full in the storm drains.
Oh my God.
So like we had to call FDOT to go clean out to vacuum out the storm drains. So we heard.
So you heard it was happening. Now, let's just kind of back up. You guys are volunteercleanup.org, and so maybe you could just tell us a little bit about what your organization does, and also what your history is in working with the city of Miami for large events like this. I know that you had something, a hand in the boat show and some of the regulations that happened there. So.
Yeah, so hi, this is Dara. So just a little bit of an introduction to Volunteer Cleanup and what we do. We are a local grassroots nonprofit, and our mission is to engage volunteers to go out and do shoreline cleanups as a way to raise awareness about marine debris, which is just the fancy word for ocean trash or plastic pollution in the oceans. And that we hope that by doing the shoreline cleanups, not only does it raise awareness for the problem and how much trash there is in the oceans, but that hopefully it motivates people to reduce their own reliance on single-use plastic. So as an environmental organization, we don't speak for all of the organizations. We don't speak for all of the issues. There's many environmental issues. We are very specifically focused on keeping trash and plastic pollution out of the waterways and getting people to take individual responsibility and reducing how much waste and plastic waste, specifically single-use plastics, they make. So that's our general focus. And so we do that through our website where people can organize cleanups and recruit volunteers. We lead the annual International Coastal Cleanup Day, which is every third Saturday in September. We are the Ocean Conservancy's partner for that global event. We coordinate all of that activity that happens in Miami-Dade. This past September was 45 cleanups simultaneously.
Wow. Thank you.
3,000 volunteers, and we removed 15,000 pounds of trash out of the waterways on one day.
Wow.
So that's what we do.
I mean, I remember the day we met. I think it was at Wynwood Yard. It was at a Grateful Dead cover band concert, and you guys had your cleanup booth there. And, you know, I went up and introduced myself, and I was like, man, you guys like the Dead and picking up trash, and we're going to get along.
Yeah.
We actually met you. The first time we met you was at Virginia Key Grassroots at the historic Virginia Key Beach Park. That was the first time we met you.
Right.
And then we saw you again at the Wynwood Yard. We're like, where do we know that guy from? We're like, oh, yeah.
Grassroots.
So we're like, oh, he's a weirdo and he loves music. So we had like this double connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and then you invited me to your Love Fest in historic Virginia Key Park, which was an amazing night. The Spam All-Stars played, a great event, and we installed a fill-a-bag station in your honor. It's the Love Fest fill-a-bag station right there in historic Virginia Beach Park.
So we all have a lot of love for Virginia Key and for historic Virginia Key Beach Park. It's a very special place for us. That's why we had our reception there.
So Dave, you guys, you were involved in the boat show and helping sort of
Sort of.
Regulations there, or
So I'm an active kayaker. I love to be out on the water. And one day I was paddling around the Miami Beach Yacht Show, which takes place in Indian Creek Canal in Miami Beach. And I was picking up a lot of styrofoam and, polystyrene. Dow Chemical does not like you using the name styrofoam when ranting.
Kleenex versus tissue.
And so I was like, where the hell is all this foam coming from? And then as I paddled closer, I noticed that the Miami Beach Yacht Show had 6 miles of floating sidewalks that were held up and floating because of big square chunks of unencapsulated foam that was just breaking off in the water. They've been doing this for 22 years.
Oh, my gosh.
And so I went nuts. And
so we should also clarify so that we have the nonprofit volunteercleanup.org that I explained. But in addition to that, Dave, as an individual, also chairs the sustainability committee for the city of Miami Beach.
Oh, great.
So he's involved in a lot of local issues, policy and otherwise at the city level that's somewhat independent from our purview as a nonprofit. It's just what he does as a person. Of course, it's connected to our mission. So that's why he was involved in that, and he can tell you more about what.
Right, and so I immediately, called code enforcement. I called my commissioner allies, and a big brouhaha, ultimately resulting in the Miami Beach Yacht Show being forced to spend, I think it was like $22 million to retrofit these 6,000 chunks of foam block into encapsulated foam dock.
And that same practice was also adopted by the boat show?
Well, and so when the Miami Boat Show came around and we saw the plans that were submitted to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, they were talking about foam blocks. We wrote the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, made some stink with the village and also City of Miami. And lo and behold, the final result was encapsulated floating docks, which I'm fine with.
Well,
how is it possible that in 2018 they can even get away with suggesting a styrofoam thing that'll dissolve?
You'd be amazed. So there is zero regulation on it. In fact, the Coast Guard considers that perfectly acceptable because the Coast Guard looks at it from a safety standpoint, whether it will actually hold the weight. But nobody looked at it from the environmental aspect of it. And so subsequently, we passed legislation in City of Miami Beach to prevent unencapsulated foam docks. And Commissioner Daniela Levine-Cava at Miami-Dade County also championed that through for the entire county. So I'm very familiar with working with these very large organizations who have a lot of pull. And I think people have kind of learned that, I can be a very good partner in helping solve problems. But, you got to stay on the right side of me because I'm going to hold you accountable.
Right. So let's shift gears with that because, it sounds like you can be a good partner, but you're also going to hold people accountable. Now we have Ultra coming here to Key Biscayne. We just found out about it. Even the Virginia Key Advisory Board, which has two of our most upstanding community members on that board, didn't know that it was coming there. The next thing we knew, there was a vote that it's coming, and it caught us right in the middle of the election. So there was all kinds of, there was a lot of misinformation or lack of information. People were just lost; they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
When you see Ultra coming now, once you realize that was coming, what are your concerns and how do you propose to address them? Talk to me a little bit about the task force that you're putting together and maybe highlight some of the points that you really want to be addressed.
Right. So one of the things that Commissioner Ken Russell did was he said there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have significant environmental concerns. And he suggested that they reach out to some of the nonprofits. We got an email, Surfrider and VolunteerCleanup.org got an email saying that they wanted to partner with us, and they're looking to make sure that they've satisfied our goals and requirements. Ultra
emailed you.
Ultra emailed us. They reached out to us, and we, started up an initial conversation and saying, look, we're live music fans. I don't live on Key Biscayne. It's very special to me, and the only thing that I really know about is marine debris. And so I can only speak to one issue, and we recommended that they speak with other groups. But
right, the traffic people or the
the tropical Audubon, the bird people, the people who know about fish and the manatees.
Right.
It's not our area of expertise. We care about it, but we don't know that much about it. At least to be considered an expert.
Yeah, and I would even say I don't think it was even positioned as partner, right? It was more just we're doing this. We've been asked to reach out to you for input, and we provided input.
Okay.
Simply.
And so who's we?
Us, Surfrider, and Debris Free Oceans all got on a conference call. I initially chimed back with my initial deal breakers, in which I basically said I will oppose this any way possible. And I don't have a lot of pull, really. But I had some main issues, which was, and the primary one was that people cannot have access to the water.
Right.
I've been to very moderate festivals and events where people who are just having a couple of beers,
Grassroots,
they leave it all trashed.
Right.
Not Grassroots.
No, Grassroots is cool.
Grassroots is
that's different, but
is
other
not like
things.
that.
So in Miami Beach, we had some really horrible experiences with the Flowtopia, which was an informal party in the water.
I remember that.
Yep.
And so anytime people are partying in the water, there's just really no physical way to keep the trash out of the water. And the thing is, once it's in the water and the tide, it washes out, right? When you're contained in a defined space, people will make a mess, right?
Right.
But it can get cleaned
Right.
with the appropriate staff. And I think that's really important to us. I mean, we're live music fans. We've been to very many festivals. Our first date was Bonnaroo. So we've been on that. We've been on Jam Cruise. We've been at, big festivals, small festivals, and we've seen best practices for how you implement greening processes at a festival, specifically when people are intoxicated, right. And are not reading clearly. And there's ways to mitigate the environmental impact if you hire the experts who know how to execute these plans.
And that was number 2.
Right. So
number 2 was we were adamant that they hire either cleanvibes.org or reverb.org, which specialize in festival greening.
Okay.
We know a lot of the best practices, but we don't have the resources in order to execute. And there's the initial planning stages where you have to, you have to think about the business model. Then you have to set up proper stations, but then you have to man it throughout the day. And we don't have those kind of resources. And so, we wanted to replicate what's been done at so many other festivals. And the interesting thing is that the EDM world hasn't gotten to the greening aspect yet.
EDM for our
electronic dance music.
Yeah.
I guess that's
right.
That stuff.
For Lenny and the other 50-year-olds that listen to this show.
Oh, we started the EDM stuff. All those raves. Stop it. Let's not even go there.
So wait, has Ultra done it? Is Ultra committing to anything, or are they gonna?
Yeah, so we actually have a memorandum of understanding that has been that's signed by us and Ultra. They put the document together. They offered.
It was signed. The one I saw.
So we've signed it, and we're waiting for our executed copy that they're going to be sending back supposedly tomorrow.
Okay. So can we just briefly go over the points that are on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first point is no beach access.
No beach access means that there will be fences along the shoreline.
That's
Yes.
That is yes.
At the Tortuga Fest, Rock the Ocean, in Fort Lauderdale a couple months ago, they did a great job of doing that. And it's similar to the demands that we've also placed for a festival coming to Miami Beach that Dave has been involved in also because of his role in the sustainability committee for Miami Beach. So there's a music. So just, we understand because we're residents of a city where there's going to be a massive festival coming our way. So we're going to have, the headache of the transportation and the traffic and all that. But we similarly have worked with them to implement some guidelines that they need to be following.
Cool. How about number 2?
Number 2 is education and awareness. And so the first thing that, and I had them insert this line, that they're going to be attempting to work with a nonprofit to arrange for volunteers or paid workers to station some or all of the bins, and also bring them in to consult on best practices for waste reduction.
Cool. Rafa was actually looking to get tickets for Ultra. Rafa,
There you go. Volunteer work.
I'm bummed on point number 1 because our paddleboard over to Ultra is now going to be closed off.
Well, not if you're working. Not if you have a volunteer shirt. Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's what that's what they do with. That's what Clean Vibes does. Reverb.org is they, people who commit to volunteering a certain number of hours, like 4 hours, they get free tickets.
They may man the stations, the waste stations, and help people, and educate
make the right
people
choices.
About recyclable, about compost, about trash. Yeah.
And they also want to introduce composting, which is, they didn't even have recycling a couple years ago.
Right. No.
So to be open to composting, the way this conversation went down was really about like, oh, yeah, we should do that. That's a good idea.
That's what happens.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's the way we approached it. Number 3, and this was a deal breaker for me, no polystyrene, aka styrofoam, or plastic straws.
Great.
So that's
Perfect.
they made that commitment on that no vendors will use that stuff, and that's really important because the Coconut Grove Seafood Festival that was here, we went last year and they had styrofoam, and it's like you're right on the water.
Yeah.
And why?
Right.
I'm not sure how people miss that.
Has the term microfoam been coined yet? Because if not, we're going to trademark that thing.
Yeah, we are.
You should trademark it because I will end up using it all the time because I find it everywhere.
Microfoam is all I find out here. Not all I find, but it's
like microplastic.
On the beaches, it's just impossible. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
But Dave, is there already some restrictions for a City of Miami park that they can't have polystyrene, or that's only county parks?
It's my understanding that after City of Miami Beach passed our full styrofoam ban, we are not allowed to have styrofoam for sale or handed out in Miami Beach anywhere. Which is fantastic. We got that. We helped work on that like 4 years ago. Actually, spearheaded by our new state representative, Michael Grieco. And the county passed that. So in county property, they're not allowed to have foam. And I believe City of Miami also passed that. So they're not supposed to have it anyway. But half of this is enforcement, right?
Right. That's
nobody's really looking at that stuff. They're going to be doing, volume checks a lot more so than.
Okay, so before you go on with the rest of the list, when you talk about enforcement, is there some kind of like a security deposit that they have to put down, or penalty that they pay something, or? Well,
so if they do end up having styrofoam there, they can get a ticket for violation of their ordinance. However, it's my understanding that Ultra needed to put down a $250,000 deposit to the city of Miami for damages and not leaving the place as they found it.
Okay. All right, let's keep going with that list.
None of this can take place during turtle nesting season, so they have to be out of there before turtle nesting season starts.
I mean, the only one who's really comes into play is the leatherback. The leatherback,
I'm just
turtle nesting isn't until like April or May, right?
Well,
well,
but
the
there's
leatherback
turtle
comes early.
season.
Yeah.
There's a season, and so
that means the cleanup and everything
Yes.
has to be completed by
yes,
then. Okay.
yes. Well, I mean anything that's going to impact, and like the cleanup because there's no access to the beaches. Then that's easy, right?
Right.
So as long as there's no lights,
It's not going to last that long.
right. But I wanted to make sure that they were aware of that in case they decided for 2020, 2021, that they
Right, the
knew
future.
that they have to pay attention to turtle nesting season
And
because it's not, if you don't live
Good,
here,
yeah. It's more the
nobody will
lights.
know.
Well,
Yeah.
It's the lights.
and
well,
EDM
and I think the
music is all lights.
But
Yeah.
the park already manages that. Like you can't have. That's why we had to have the Love Fest in March because we couldn't have music beyond
good.
10 o'clock
Right.
in nesting season when we were debating between a May date and a March date.
Yep.
So the park already regulates that.
Yep. Well, the historic Virginia Key Beach regulates that,
Okay.
but not in
Marine Stadium.
not in the Marine Stadium area. Most likely, I don't really know, but
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that they were aware.
That's good.
Of that. No balloons.
Okay.
I mean, that seems like an obvious one, but
Right.
you'd be amazed.
I know.
They've had them at previous events there, so they will
Dude,
not
we
have
didn't.
any, no,
we
bal-
didn't
no
do
balloons.
glitter.
I don't think they're going to
That
throw
would
it
like
around, but
screw Aldra for like no glitter.
Actually, but actually, that brings
what do
up a
I
good point.
wear? Oh my god!
No, it does bring up a good point about anything that they have like little exploding cannons or you know
Right.
stuff like that in their
Confetti.
pyrotechnics,
Yeah.
confetti and stuff like that. So that's a good one. I'll have to add that to the list.
definitely no condoms.
Unless they're on iguanas.
They are adopting a leave no trace policy for event patrons. So they're going to try to spread the message of leave no trace.
You bring it home.
Pack it out, hopefully. Who knows? I doubt it. A
doubt
mass
it, too.
transit plan. This was not something that we are experts in,
Right.
but I live on an island. And when
Right.
you bring this many people out, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
Just all of these sheer number of cars. And so we were talking, we were talking a lot about how they reduce their carbon footprint and mass transit. I think their idea was, well, we're just going to replicate what the boat show did. And
Have shuttles?
I'm not really so sure about. They mentioned maybe like water taxis or something, and I don't
That
think
was a
that's
problem last time.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good way to shuttle massive amounts of people around.
Yeah.
It's slow, and it's. I just think, but they've already
Plus,
been
there's
thinking about
access to
traffic.
water there.
Well, they won't have access to water, so
Yeah.
unless they come into to Rickenbacker Marina.
Yeah, I don't think they'd use the water taxi.
Right. But we want them to have a mass transit plan to mitigate the implementations. Let's see. They're going to partner with an organization that can help guide and facilitate waste reduction and cleanup, such as Clean Vibes, Reverb, or an entity with a similar mission. So bring in the pros, right? And this way, because I don't have the bandwidth to deal with all this. Now, those are kind of like this is what we're going to do. Then there were some things that they couldn't commit to, but they wanted to. They just needed more research because there was less than a week's time notice
Right, to get this all
to get
together.
this all resolved. And I got to say they were really nice people to work with. So I'm not seeing them as malicious.
Right.
So they were open to a lot of
some
these
of
ideas.
those questionable items?
A waste reduction plan. So I want to limit the amount of plastic used in the first place. So they are going to. So we want them to expand their free water refill, make water available all over the place, free water, and to eliminate the use of single-use plastics and plastic bottles as much as they can. It's a huge revenue stream. So this is why they needed to figure it out.
Can I ask you something?
Please.
Have you seen that at other festivals? The reuse, the water fountains, I guess they would be, or
Yes.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I think the first time we saw it was at Swanee Halloween. They had a Brita station. It was actually like a full on like machine where you could fill your bottles. Most festivals that we've been to tend to have a solution. It's a little bit more rudimentary, like it's just a hose and it's got a couple spouts on it. I also locally work with a company called Whoosh Water, and their business is a network of water bottle refill stations for public spaces. So you do pay, but you pay like 25, 35 cents depending to get purified, great tasting water. So there's solutions like that. I think the park is actually in conversations about exploring getting some of those water stations for the park. So not only have we seen water bottle refill stations, but there's also some festivals that include a reusable cup as part of the experience. So it's built into the ticket price. These tend to be stainless steel cups, which on this scale may be not feasible. They raise some concerns, I guess, the same reason why they don't let you keep your cap on a bottle is because people throw things.
Right.
So the stainless steel
It's
is,
dangerous.
maybe some of the hippie festivals we go to, people don't do that.
Right.
So I think that was one of their concerns, but that's not to say there isn't another solution that they could explore. I mean, even allowing people to refill a plastic cup that they took would reduce the waste in half.
But they must make so much money off water, right?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
probably their contention
That's,
or something?
that is a huge part of it, and there's ways to monetize that.
Yeah.
But, and this is one of the things we've learned in working with these very large organizations. It's very difficult as an environmentalist to go no on a project that makes so much money. Capitalism is at play. And, we've always found that we can move the needle incrementally by partnering and trying to drive the change that we need to see, rather than fighting against it. From our perspective, right? There's plenty of reasons why I can totally imagine people would have no way in hell am I going to be comfortable with this coming to my island. I get that. If you have an issue, voice your issue. Voice your concern. Absolutely. The approach that we're trying to take from the standpoint of marine debris is, if you're going to do the event, let's reduce the amount of plastics that we create and we reuse and we use. And let's also figure out ways in which we can eliminate landfill waste. Right. So instead of taking an aluminum bottle beer or a glass bottle of beer, pouring it in a plastic cup and then handing the patron a plastic cup,
Right.
just give them the damn beer.
Give them the damn
right?
beer.
And then set up good recycling.
Right.
It's definitely possible. I've done audits where, I just look at what they do at, like, for example, the Fillmore. They don't offer recycling there. And I look and I'm like, I could reduce your landfill waste without modifying your business model at all.
Which saves them costs, by the way.
Exactly.
It's associated with cost savings. So I think that's probably where we feel optimistic, especially within the realm of the issues that we care about, is that it's an opportunity to, really help them model the way and lead by example if we can pull it off, right? If we can, provide them with the right guidance and they can do it successfully. There's such a large group of people who will go and experience, here's how to do a good festival while reducing impact. And again, we only speak for this issue. There's a whole host of other constituents and stakeholders, including Rasmus, including Miami Waterkeeper, who have other valid concerns that need to be addressed. So we really only representing.
To that point, where does it go from here? I know that there was talk of an advisory board or something.
So one of the things that we that's in the memorandum of understanding is that they are going to be creating an environmental and economic advisory board, which is going to be comprised of environmental consultants, environmentalists, environmental groups to mitigate and reduce the environmental impacts of the event. So we fully respect anybody's rallying no. Fully respect that, but it's happening.
Right.
And there's nothing that we're going to be able to do in order to stop it. So the Environmental Advisory Board is an opportunity for us to have a seat at the table where we can voice our concerns, where residents can, voice their concerns and try to mitigate, find solutions for that. Somebody who had said, Miami Waterkeeper has very valid concerns about the impact on wildlife and the birds and the fish. And it's a protected marine sanctuary. It's critical, right? And so I said, well, so the problem is noise. Okay, well, the first question I had for Ultra was, is there maximum volume? So the city requires 110 decibels at 60 feet maximum volume, which is really loud.
It's really loud.
Really loud.
I was just going to say that.
But we're hoping that we can either have them place the stage in a direction that's pointing towards the causeway and away from the protected area. That might help a lot, as well as maybe we can get them to turn it down to 105 decibels, which is still really loud.
Right.
Yeah, get them to turn it back towards downtown where it came from.
Where it came from, exactly.
So that's the idea of the panel, right? Of the board here, to keep an open dialogue going on, because they don't seem like they're specifically interested in destroying the environment or ticking off the key residents, right? They want to have their event. It's a big moneymaker, and they want to be welcomed back.
Right.
So
good. I know I've heard folks saying, it's going to happen, so let's be involved, and we definitely want to be involved here on the Keys. So thanks for keeping us in mind.
And that's the way to approach it for sure.
I think it's great you guys got this tentative agreement with them, and that it's going to be signed tomorrow. I mean, you'll update us, I guess, to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have this in writing gives me the opportunity that if they don't pull through, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, then next year
you can come back and say,
I'm going to be holding that sign, and I'm going to be front in line.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a baseline, and they were committed to an ongoing improvements year after year.
Initially, there were rumors of it being a 5-year deal, but I've heard differently. I've heard that it's
I don't know anything about it.
1 year at a time.
I heard 1 year at a time too.
I hope that's the way it is, right? Because then this requires them to be good neighbors and good corporate citizens.
Right.
Yeah, they have to earn the trust, right? They have to demonstrate that they can do this and, responsibly, right? That they should feel fortunate to be able to have their festival in such a beautiful place, and that are going to, repay that with taking care of it.
Right.
All right, great.
All right,
thank you
great.
guys very much.
Yeah, thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
you coming out here, and hopefully you can continue to come back and keep us posted. And also we want to continue to speak with your partners, DFO and Surfrider.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all on board. They all recognize the opportunity. None of us are completely comfortable with the overall impact, but we felt that this presented such a tremendous opportunity for us to introduce festival greening into the EDM world, right? And so our real thought process behind this is the far-reaching impact that Ultra can have. They're actually very excited to be a case study and an example of how the EDM world can reduce their impact. So we're pushing them. We presented the idea of them having having an article written in whatever EDM magazines exist and touting that. We want them to be proud of these changes and enhancements to their organization and the festival that they put on.
well, I'm convinced I'm buying my tickets tomorrow.
Just
You
volunteer.
could just
man.
volunteer.
Just volunteer.
Yeah, you can just
Compost,
volunteer.
recycling,
Or you
landfill.
can paddleboard to the beach and just
Yeah,
hang
we
on the
have
other
to
side of the
work.
fence.
Come on.
No, they'll probably close that off.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just going to have as many boats as you will.
That's what I was gonna-
Lenny. That's number one. Yeah, we don't want boats listening. There should be no boats out there.
That's what
in
I'm
the
saying.
basin.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I went to Ultra on a boat 1 year just to check it out to see if you could even
Biscayne- on
feel
Biscayne
like
Bay.
you were at the festival, but on the boat.
People do
over
that.
It didn't work. It didn't
But
work.
people
the sound
do
didn't
that.
sound right. It was like all the stages mixed together. It just doesn't sound right unless you're in front of it. That's the direction. So if you're thinking about that, it's probably not going to work out.
We went to Phish, Riviera Maya, so it was like on a beachfront on the Yucatan. And yeah, people who didn't get tickets got shut out, showed up on the boat and on jet skis dancing in the water.
I'll tell you though, I think that an important aspect of this is when residents, activists have issues. It's important to think through solutions that you can present. It's very easy to say no, but if you're going to be forced to do it, yes, anyway. If somebody else is going to make that decision anyway, well, okay, let's break it down. What are our main issues, right? If it's traffic, well, let's see. Maybe we could have buses. Let's present them with ideas because, as well thought out as Ultra is, there's always room for new, fresh ideas. Right. And so I implore everybody that when you approach Ultra with a concern,
have a solution.
Have a solution for it. right? And you will actually find that people are much more receptive when you're interested in working together in partnership.
Well, you have a
Excellent.
resident activist right here, man. I'm totally raising my hand here. I'd love to be part of that advisory board.
I already nominated you, man.
All right, awesome, thank you. And on the traffic side, I don't know who's going to solve that. I mean, 20,000 Ubers. How are you going to
Why
find your Uber?
don't
when
they
you-
just
when
have
you're
a
leaving that place?
residence lane? Why don't they make
my
one
God.
lane for residents and one lane for Uber traffic?
We talked about that.
This is how much Dara and I are always on the same page. I had that. I actually thought of that like today, like on my way over when I was thinking of it, and she and I have not talked about that.
Yeah.
A residence lane on the right hand side. You go through the toll plaza cones, and you have to, only residents
Express
can go in
lane.
that lane.
It's after 12 years, our minds like blend and merge together. Mind meld.
I love it.
All right, guys. Well,
Thank you so much,
thanks for
guys.
coming out. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cheers.
let's do the last thing. It's not over yet. We got one more thing. It's calendar. And I'll breeze through it because I know you're in a hurry, Manolo. Are you? He's reading the comments. There's no
no.
good comments in there. Don't worry about it. Christmas
Yes,
trees are going on sale at the community church soon. Probably at Thanksgiving.
It's
That's when they
already.
start
I
doing
think
it.
it's
if they're
up
not
and
already
going
there.
already.
Okay, so they're
Yeah.
already going. Go get your Christmas tree. Support their cause. I don't know sure where the money goes, but it's somewhere good. So buy a Christmas tree there on the key. On November 20th, tomorrow, there's a life enhancement forum at the rec center at 7 p.m. It's free. I got excited this because I thought it was a male enhancement forum, but it turns out it's just a life enhancement forum.
Is this part of the Ask?
On November 27th, there is the Between Dark and the Light Grateful Dead photos exhibition and Unlimited Devotion playing. Where is this event?
This is at the Miami Beach Jewish Community Center.
Oh, nice.
I'll tell you what.
It is?
Yeah, I just saw it today. It's on our it's on our social calendar now.
So if you want to see some photos of the Grateful Dead taken by a great photographer that I don't remember his name when you guys told me earlier.
And then Unlimited Devotion is playing afterwards.
And this is also free?
I don't know.
Exhibitions are usually
No. It's like
It's
$20. It's like $20, $25.
Yeah, it's $20.
$18 in advance.
20 bucks. On November 30th, there's a full moon party at Bill Baggs, and it is for...
It's the Christmas party.
Oh, the Christmas party.
It's the holiday party. So
I'm
you can
sorry,
go
what
sit
day
on
is it?
Santa's lap.
What day is this?
November 27th, which is next Tuesday? That doesn't make sense. No, November 30th. Sorry. Must be Friday.
In fact, I have gifts for the panel here.
Oh, wow.
Full Moon Party stickers.
What?
Yeah.
You have no idea how much we love stickers.
Pass this over. I also have this sticker for you guys. I don't know if you've heard of Fill-A-Bag, but I got one for you here. But
Oh, fantastic! Do you know we
Tell
are
us
so
what I
excited
got.
about this? We have for our parties we have stainless steel cups, and so we got blank ones, and now we put stickers all over the place.
perfect.
All right, on December 7th, Patrick and the Swayzes at the Yard. If you saw them at the 4th of July party a couple years ago, you might want to check that out. On December 8th or the 15th, if it gets rained out, the Key Biscayne Yacht Club's Winter Boat Parade will happen at the No Name Harbor.
Right.
Check that out. I'm so glad that there is a fallback date this year because it's been so many
2 years. We haven't had it for 2 years
years.
because of weather. So this is the year we're going to have it.
That's awesome. And then on January 19th, the Bill Baggs Gala. 50 years of Bill Baggs State Park being named Bill Baggs State Park. And
Yeah, and that's the sticker I just gave you, so
It's-
save the date for that,
it's
January
a-
19th.
it's
So
a
it's
re-
going to be the Spam All-Stars playing there.
What?
Yeah.
it's a
That's
ritzy
your-
affair.
That's your house band. So.
Only cool people have Spam All Stars playing
I
for
know,
them, man.
I know. And it's going to be a
And-
love fest, too.
And then finally in March, sometime in March, is Ultra. So make sure you go check that out.
I'm going to have plenty of ring pops for everybody.
All right.
And
You
if
ready
you're
to go here?
and if you're ever looking for cleanups, go to volunteercleanup.org, and you will find every weekend we have probably 5 to 6 cleanups happening every weekend all over Miami-Dade County. You can go to volunteercleanup.org, and you can actually subscribe for email notifications. Every Monday, we'll email you all the cleanups within a 15-mile radius of where you live. So
And
come join us.
if there's no cleanup, find a Fill-A-Bag station near you and do it yourself.
That's right.
Clean up on demand.
There you
Come
go.
on,
Right.
All right. have a
Well,
great week.
That's the show. Thanks for listening. Go to ratradio.net, subscribe to the show, all that stuff, blah, blah. Thank you guys for coming. It was great. Thank you guys always for coming. And that's it. Good night.